everyone. Very good morning and good evening to one and one all gathered here. I welcome you all today Oracular webinar session. Myself, Satya Naresh, working in Nuances as Senior Technical Consultant. And I am glad to host today Oracular session initiated by our organization, Nuances, as part of our knowledge sharing. Oracular is a knowledge series where we invite highly experienced professionals from the industry to share their expertise in a freewheeling discussion. You know, that is very interactive and interesting. Our goal is for Oraclers to become the go-to online resource for trends, technology, and innovation. So, before I talk about the topic and presenter, I would like to take a brief moment to talk about Dances. Dances is a management and technology consulting company established 2006 in India and US. We are being serving our customer for past 16 years. Currently, 90% of the employees are certified. As Dances always focus on upskilling their employees. Actually, we are passionating our knowledge via different forms like blogs, community, paper presentation in different forums, and many more. We are always active in social media platforms. I request you to follow us in LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook for such more informative contents in Oracle technology. We have 40 plus delighted customer base. Nuances have successfully authorized 6 books around Oracle technology. This is one of the major initiatives by Nuances to share their knowledge with the world. We received India's Great Mid-Size Workplace Award in 2019 and got certified by Great Place to Work Institute in 2020. We offer service in Oracle products like EBS, Fusion, customer development, Apex, database and middleware administration, and Oracle Cloud. Okay, quickly I would like to introduce our special guest, Mr. Sunil Tanton. He did his Bachelor and Master of Science degree in KU Leuven, and also he learned Dutch language course in Technisch Institute Harwich family. He started his career as position of student work in IMAC and improved his skill sets to grow as an intense software developer in Square NB. After he moved his position as student software developer in Apex R&D and become a specialist in developing new functionalities, bug fixing for Apex Office Print, and also having strong knowledge in JavaScript, Node.js, Oracle Application Express, and Docker. He gained 6 years of experience and scaled him as a product lead in Apex R&D. And also he involved in performing several activities like AWS, setting up API for Apex Office Print with the auto scaling and load balancers, setting up AWS Lambda functions for image scaling and video processing. Currently, he is working as a product lead in United course for the last 1 year and extending his support for Apex Office Print by sharing his knowledge to the world. Of course, our today topics is also on Apex Office Print, and let us get into the topic without any further delay. Apex Office Print is a flexible engine enabling Oracle Application Express in generating your Office, HTML, text, and PDF documents in no time and effort, and also make printing and exporting your data easy. I would like to invite Mr. Sunil to give us more insight on this topic for the in today's session. If you have any questions, I request you to post the same in the chat box, or else you can get them clarified in the question and answer session at the end. Once again, I would like to thank all the participants for your continuous support for Oracle session and requesting Mr. Sunil to take this forward. Over to you, Sunil.
Thank you very much, Satya.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Insys for providing us with this opportunity to present our product here. So let me just start by sharing our screen. All right, hopefully you guys can see my screen. Okay, so who am I? I think Satya gave a good introduction about myself. So I've been with Apex Office Sprint since its birth in 2015. And since then, I've been working further on Apex Office Sprint and developing it and making it better and better so that you guys can save a lot of time and, well, without issues, export to any document that you want. Okay, so for this presentation, I'll be talking about, let's see. First, I'll go through the AOP basics. The second, the installation steps, how to template, the PDF utilities, and finally, if we have some time, talk about the licensing. So what AOP is basically a printing engine that you can use to export your documents in any format that you want. We work mainly on Oracle Application Express. So this is the architecture of Oracle Application Express. So you have a web browser, you have a web server, and you have a database server, right? So the Oracle database is running there. So an extra component that comes to play is our Apex Office Print, either an on-premise version or our cloud API. So Apex Office Print is actually a standalone application, meaning you don't actually need Oracle Application Express. You can call it from anywhere you like. So it's a RESTful service. We basically expect a JSON with all the information that you provide or that we want, and basically give you back the output file. If you go to our API, so that's the API component. If you go to our API, so that's, let me quickly share here. There we go. api.apexofficeprint.com, and you will see this logo. And if you were to go to the location of where your on-premise version is, let me just quickly go there as well. If I can find my mouse, that is. So it seems I am, okay. Okay, so let me just quickly show you that one as well. So I'm currently running it on localhost, and this is the web page that you get. I'll talk more about this web page later on when we are into the templating phase. Okay, so what we do is we provide you with, on top of RESTful service, we provide you with a PL SQL API, so you can call it from anywhere you like. So you can, if you have Oracle database, you probably use PL SQL, meaning you can use Apex Office Print. So we make it easy for you to call our service and generate reports. On top of that, we are actually closely integrated with Oracle Application Express. So we provide you with a couple of plugins that you can use. And I'll show you in a second how easy it is just to install those. And basically define dynamic actions, select your template, as easy as it can be. Okay, so how is the workflow of Apex Office Print? The first step is to create a template, right? So when you create a report in other technologies, for example, Java or PL SQL, for example, I'm talking about other products here, you basically have to code your way through the templates, right? So you need to define where your logo comes, where basically the signature or your footer comes in. However, we make it easy for you. So you don't need to code them. You basically build them visually using the products that you already know. So the Office suite, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint. So you can use all these software to create your template. Even a business user can do it. So if your clients, for example, wants to have a different font for a specific place. So for a specific invoice, a different, let's say, color or something, you don't have to code it. You can just change it in the template and it will get reflected in the output. So that's the first step. The second step is to select the data, right? So we need some data to work with. So in this case, I'm giving an example of an invoice, for example, the customer data, right? And the last step is to select your output type. So you can go from any template type, so to their own output type. For example, if you have a template in Word, you can go to Word. And if you have the Excel template, you can go to Excel. However, all these templates can be used to generate a PDF report. So if you have a Word template, you can convert it to PDF. And of course, the last step is to just print. But however, sometimes there can be issues, right? So you might have done something wrong or something wrong might have happened. So we just give you back the error so that you are able to figure out what is going wrong there and fix it. So this is how AOP, these are the AOP basic. I talked about the architecture. Now let's go ahead to the installation steps and just see how easy it is. We have a question round at the end, so I'll just leave that for now. Okay. So for the installation, what you need is an Apex instance. So in this case, of course, I'm going to show it to you. I have a local virtual machine running Apex 19.1. So I'll go ahead and install Apex application over there. You of course need an Apex Office Print account, an API key if you want to use our cloud, and the plugins basically. So the first step is to go ahead to our website and just log in. So we don't require any credit card information or whatever. We also provide you with free developer credits that you can use to test out products. We also give you like 30 reports per month free without any strings attached. So once you log in, you will see this dashboard. Here you can find your API key and also if you have your on-premise plans, right? Okay, so the next step is to go to the download sections. Now, since I have shown you the dashboard, I can just go to our website. Let's see here. I can find it. Okay. Give me a second here. Just going to log in. Awesome. So once you log in, this is the dashboard. You can select which package you want. It could be cloud or on-premise version. So once you download this and unzip, what you will get are the following. So you get a folder for Apex, you get a folder for Apex instances, you get a folder for database, the documentation is here. So if you like, you can just go through the documentation as well. So it's pretty thorough, but in this case, and finally the server component as well. We provide you the on-premise version for Windows and Linux. So when you download them, they will be on trial version. And once you purchase a license, you can just activate them. This means that you can just download it and install it on your server and just play around with it before purchasing any licenses. These are the files, and the files that we currently need to install are basically this file. Let me just quickly go back to our presentation here. So the database package and the plugin package. So these are the plugins that we need, right? Okay, so how can we install it? We can install it through SQL Workshop. So you can go to your SQL Workshop and just upload this script, or you can just install our sample application. So sample application will install the PL SQL installation. So let's go ahead and do that. For some reason, my mouse seems to be disappearing when I am over here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so this is a fresh install of Oracle Application Express. I have nothing here, just our sample database application. So let me just go ahead. Oh, first, let me log in. So SQL workshop, SQL scripts, and we just upload the script. Let me quickly find that one. All right, so this is the SQL, the PL SQL script that we need. We just upload, and we just hit run. So there we go. We have successfully installed Apex application AOP here on our workspace. Now, the second step is to just go to the application that you want to create reports from. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead here to this customer page and create a new button. But before I do that, I need to install our plugins here. So for that, let's just go to shared components, plugins, import, and again, in this case, Apex, we are at version 19.1. And we just select the dynamic action here. So dynamic action plugin. We upload. And we install this in this specific application. So for the URL, I'm just going to use my local host. You can use API, but then I'd have to provide the API key as well. But since I have on-premise version, I'm just going to leave it blank. So this is all the installation there is to get started, right? So now let's create a button in this page and create our first report. So we just go to that page. We create a new button here. And we just say export. Once we have this button, so this is the dynamic action plugin I was talking about. So this is normal Oracle Application Express. Normally you can define your dynamic action here. So what we see here is that we get an extra option. So that is our Apex Office Print plugin, right? So this is all there is for the installation. Now to create our first report, right? I'll go through all the settings there are. So this is our template. And if you need help or require extra description on what this option actually is, you can just go to the help section here. And as you can see, this is fully integrated here. So AOP template, AOP report, Apex report, these are all given in the help section. So AOP template is when you don't have any template. So we actually provide you with a template, right? So now the data type. So in this case, it can be a SQL, or it can be a reason, or a PL SQL function that you define to select the data, right? In this case, I'm just going to specify SQL. And as you can see, we also have here a sample query. I'm just going to copy and paste this. And this is all we need for the moment, right? So we don't have an initial template. So we ask AOP to make a template for us, and our output type needs to be Word. We save this, and let's see what this gives us. There we go. So we got a file back. And as you can see, so from our selected data, we got our first template to work with, right? So let me quickly go ahead and see what our query exactly was, right? So this is the format AOP expects. The data should be there, and everything inside this cursor is your data. So what we have here is we selected the first name, the last name, the city of the customer, and we have it inside customers cursor, right? And from this, what we saw is, okay, so we can use these tags and we can actually get started with here. AOP is smart and it lets you know that you can use these tags on tables. For example, if you want to have a list or table for a row for each customer, you would use something like this. And as you can see, we also provide you with how it would look like if you were to use this in your template, right? Okay, so we also have other explanations here, but let me just quickly delete everything that we have. And just use this, right? So for all customers, what we want is hello customer first name. So this is just, I'm just giving you an example so you can style it however you want, right? So let's say you want the customer name in red, right? Or on a different style. So in this case, I'm going to use this one, right? There we go. And I'm just going to put this here, the city of the customer is, there we go, the customer city, right? And we repeat this for all the customers that there are. Okay, so I'm going to save this template. Now, what we did previously here was we selected AOP template, right? So now we have a template. Let's upload it to our static application files. So I'm just going to go on our static application files. I'm going to upload the template that I just made. There we go. And I'm just going to upload it, go back to our page, and on our, instead of AOP template, I'm just going to specify the name of this application, of that file I just exported. So it was output-2.docx. I save it, and let's see what this gives. There we go. So for every customer here, we went from the template, right? So this gets repeated for every customer. So this is a simple tag. So this is what we call a placeholder, right? So as you can see, it is so easy to format the report the way you want it and exactly how you want it, right? So let's say instead of Word document, you'd like a PDF. What you can do is just go here, the same dynamic action, and change the output type from Word to PDF. And we can just hit export. So what we get now is the PDF here, right? We are on AOP trial here, so I'm using a trial version of our on-premise version. But as you can see, it was that easy, you know? Okay, so this is how you normally export a report, but in this case, I'm going to show you how closely integrated AOP is with Apex, right? So let's say we have an interactive report here, right? So we want to export this interactive report. We don't want to write our own query, but let's use the data that we have here in this report. So what we can do is Here, in this case, we have a static ID of customer IR, right? So we go to our dynamic action that we just specified, and instead of data type SQL, we are going to specify reason type here. And we are going to give the static ID here, right? So the previous template was made for a different set of data. So now I don't know what to put in, right? So I'm just letting AOP create a template for us again. Now let's run it again. Oh, let me quickly go back here. AOP template, and of course, yeah, we want inward. Okay, now let's see what we got. And as you can see, AOP is smart, and it is smart enough to know that there was actually an interactive grid or report here. And we can use this simple tag to export this whole report the way you see it on screen, right? Okay, let's try that one, right? I'm going to remove everything else here and just use this. And I'm going to save it as interactive. Okay, now let's go to our shared static application files, upload our new template. Go back to the page. Change our template source to interactive.docx and see what this gives, right? And there we go. So with that just one tag, we were able to export the whole report. Like, how easy is that, right? So we installed AOP in less than 15 minutes, and we were able to produce our first report within 15 to 20 minutes, right? Easier than this, it cannot get. All right, okay, so now, let's say you don't want to use a template at all, right? So this is a reason that you just want to export. In that case, we provide you with the default template, right? So if you say AOP report, you don't even need to specify the template. So we just know that you just want to export this reason, and we basically export it for you. There we go. So no tag, we just got the report that we want. Okay, so now you must be wondering, okay, well, what else can AOP do, right? More than that is this. Like, let's say you highlight something here. So I'm just going to say customer John, right? Okay, so this is going to be a row highlight. I'm going to pick a color here as blue as background color and orange as our text color, and customer name contains John, right? So what we have here is a highlight. Now, let's export this and see if this change is getting exported in the report as well. And there we go. So all the operations that you do in this report will be taken into account when you export your report, right? So this shows how closely integrated AOP is with Apex Oracle Application Express. Let's say you don't want a Word file, but an Excel file. Okay, we also do that, right? So let's see, and we get an Excel file back. Let me just open it here. I think it's taking a while to open. Let's give it a second here. And there we go. So all the data that you see with the highlights, with filters, or with aggregates that you see are exported. So this is how easy it is, right? Okay, so I think we are done with the installation step. Now I'd like to move forward with the templating. But I'm not sure, how much time do I still have, Satya? I think
Half an hour.
half
Yeah,
an
you can
hour?
continue, Sunil. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So now let's go ahead to the templating. So I just showed you two tags, right? I think I showed you the normal tag here. So that was output 4. Output 2 it was. Let me just go back there. Okay, so here we use this one to replace the name for our customer. And as you saw, we use these tags to repeat the block for every customer. Now let's go ahead and see which other possibilities that there are, right? And that brings us to our templating section. So the basic tag, you just define where the values should be. Curly braces with a variable name. So in this case, it was customer first name. So customer first name, customer last name, those were the ones. And you can style it however you want, and the styling will be masked by the replaced value. I already also showed you the starter template. So if you don't know how or which tags are available, AOP can create a template for you and you can see which tags you can use. The second one is the loop tag. So this basically allows you to loop a block for every record of this customer or every record of the cursor. Now, this I showed you a bit earlier. This is how AOP expects things to be, right? As you can see here, as data from Dual. So everything inside data will be available for you to use in the template. In this case, customer name, customer last name, customer first name, customer city. And then if you have a cursor here again, so for orders, we have an inner cursor. So that's the hierarchy. And we basically repeat for every order a list of products. So this is the basic structure. So we also, instead of looping it downwards, we also provide you a way to loop horizontally. In that case, you would just use double dot instead of hash. And of course, you can combine them both. So in this case, we are going horizontally with the orders and vertically with the products. So this will be your output then. So those were the normal tags. Now we move on to the special tags. One of the special tag is the image tag. And in this tag, we basically start with a %sign, right? So when you go into a, let me just quickly go to our example here. So this is a sample report that I was showing you on our presentation. So an image tag starts with a %sign, right? So once you have this one, we basically mean, oh, it's not that you replace with the value of it, it's that you replace it with the image, right? And you can provide it with different sources. So it can be a base 64 encoded. So in this case, the image is a base 64 encoded image, right? So in this case, I'm using our web editor, we call it, to test or try things out and see what the data is getting passed. As I said, AOP itself is actually a RESTful service. So AOP acts, the plugin on our Oracle Application Express, it creates a JSON and it sends to the AOP backend server. So this here is basically one of those JSONs. And we can see the image here, right? So the image tag, let's see what this gives, right? So we have an image and we have the data. And once we hit process, and we should get a file back here. And let me compare them side by side. And there we go. So instead of replacing it with its value, we now have an image. So it is that easy. And you also have the ability to specify the height and width. And I will go back to our presentation here. There we go. So the percent, it can be the image, it can be on a file server. It can be a base 64 encoded. It can be a URL. So those three options are available. Now, if you want to control over the dimension of the image, you can specify it with underscore width, underscore height, underscore max width, and underscore max height. You also have the ability to specify a URL on that. So when you click it, that it goes, so hyperlinking it, and you can do that by using URL. So I'll show it to you how we do it in Oracle Application Express here. So again, we have our dynamic action. And we have selected product name and in this case, the image. So we are selecting URLs here and we are also giving it the max width and max height. So this way you are able to control how big an image can get. So here, in this case, image with fixed width and height, 50-50, and that's all we need, right? So let's see what this gives. Image fixed width. Oh. Image fixed width. And this is what we get. So we selected the image and we have repeated this for every product. Okay, so those were images. Now let's move on to the barcodes, right? So this tag is similar with images, but instead of providing it the image URL, you just basically provide us with the data that you want for your QR code, right? And the QR code tag starts with a pipeline sign here. So we have a lot of available barcodes. So if you want to check which barcode types are available, you can just go to our documentation and search for barcode, right? Once again, I'd like to ask all the participants to mute themselves, please. Thank you. Okay. So as you can see, these are all the lists of barcodes and QR codes that we support. So this should be more than enough to satisfy all your barcode and QR code needs. Okay, So you also have a similar control, right? So you can also specify underscore width, underscore height, underscore max width to basically control the size of the barcode that gets replaced. Okay, so I'm not going to go through all the available tags that there are. So for example, hyperlink, but I would like you to basically, it seems my camera's got stuck. Give me a second here. Yeah, sorry for that. Okay, all right. So I'm not going to go through all the tags there are, but I'm just going to show you where you can find all the information about that one. So here we have all the tags that there are, right? So we got hyperlink, we got charts, we got barcodes, QR codes. And the other thing that I'd like to say is that when you download our application, you also get for each of your Oracle Application Express version, a sample Apex application. So this showcases all the available features that there are. So I think I just showed you here, right? So this examples, and you see all the possible examples for Word, and you also see examples for PowerPoint, you also see for Excel, right? And once you click there, one of the things I'd like to show is that I think is awesome is the HTML content, right? So HTML to native Word style. So let's say you have something in HTML. So this is our HTML source. And you'd like to export it to Word, right? So if we go to our tag overview, what we see is HTML content. So this is the tag that we are looking for. So I just downloaded the template. Let's have a look at our template. So here we are using this tag, and we are passing the value that's in this rich text editor, right? So we have got bold, italic. We also have different headings. We have tables, and let's see what we get in our Word. Again, so what we saw here in HTML, now we are getting this in Word. So as you can see, heading 1, we take the styling of heading 1, heading 2. We also have the table here with the table borders here with different colors. I mean, I really think this is something powerful and can be used. So let's say you have something made in your Apex space, right? So you can just provide that to AOP, and AOP will basically put that into your report. Okay, so I think I talked about interactive reports. We also allow you to create native Office charts. So from this chart, right, we export this, and what you get is a native Word or Excel chart. And you have the possibility to, of course, format it however you want. You can basically change the design if you like, but we also provide you with controls to change how it looks. So if we were to go back here and see how it's done, right, print here, we are basically specifying the type of radar, and again, you can find all this information in our documentation and on our sample application. So I'm just showing you the possibilities of AOP. right? Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and export this in Excel just to show you that it also works for Excel. And of course, for PowerPoint as well. So I think we skipped PowerPoint for a while, but let's go ahead and see for PowerPoint too. There we go. So this is the chart. It seems it's giving directly on the presentation, but there we go. Okay, so that was the chart. So something specific to Excel is that you can generate different seats as well. So let's say a seat for each customer. So in that case, we specify it with a exclamation mark right after our starting curly brace. So you also have the possibility to generate a slide per product or per customer. So if you want to export some reports or visualization, you can also export it to PowerPoint. So if your output is, for example, PDF, you can also say, okay, I'm going to create the template in PowerPoint, change the layout to A4, and you basically have like one page per customer. Okay, so I think so something word specific. I already talked about the HTML content. If you want to create a table of contents, you can just use the table of contents tag. If you want to use the labels here, so this is something from the mail merge function of Microsoft Word. And if you just specify the cursor that has all the information or the data, so in this case, first name, last name, we basically replace that as well. So basically a mail merge done by AOP. Also, sometimes when you have templates, it can get pretty big. In that case, what you can use is subtemplates. And when you have subtemplates, you can specify, I want to include this subtemplate inside another template. So let's have a look at how that is done here. Okay, here, as you can see, we have a subtemplate here. And also, I think I forgot to talk about the conditions. So when you are using these tags, you can also specify a condition around that block, right? So this will include conditional template only when the value provided for this is yes. So this is what we call Angular expressions. This is a bit advanced. Not a lot of people use it at the beginning, of course, but once they get used to it, they use it more and more. So this is basically logic in templates. Okay, moving forward. Let me just quickly show you the output of that one as well. So we looked at the template. Now let's have a look at our output. So in this case, this is coming from the subtemplate. And in this case, we didn't have a condition. So let's enable that condition and see what difference we get. So as you can see, the conditional template, this is a conditional template, terms and condition if the user selects it to append it, right? Okay, awesome. Let me just close all these. So I think I'm going to conclude all this for the templates. I want to move further to our PDF utilities as well. Let me quickly check if I missed anything, right? So I think I talked about how to export the reports with highlighting, with all the other stuff. Available tags, and the Angular expression was something I wanted to talk about. So let me quickly talk about that one as well. There we go. So Angular expressions, these are logics in the template itself. So I talked about conditions, right? So what you can do is, for example, do something like this: is euro is equals to 1, then print basically euro, otherwise we go with dollar. So this is basically same as this one. So this is something that you can do is in the template itself. The other way you could do is, let's say currency is equals to 1, you provide the price and the symbol here, or if you have currency, I mean, yeah, so this way you can specify which block to show and which block to hide. You also have the possibility to do calculations, right? So let's say your data contains number, you can say, okay, I want to add 2 numbers, and subtraction or multiplication. So all mathematical operations are supported. You also have the possibility to sum. So let's say in our previous case, we want to sum over all our products, right? So you can specify basically by doing something like this. So products, sum, and then their column that you want to sum in, and if you want to take the null value into account or not, and if yes, then which value should be taken. So once you start with the curly braces, you are actually inside a JavaScript environment. So you can specify, for example, .length, or get a specific array or element from a cursor. So this will take the 5th element because indexes start at 0, and you can basically say, all right, give me the name of the 5th element. You also have other operations here. So you can say, okay, I want it to be in lowercase, or split it, or I want a substring of this value. So you also have the possibility to format numbers, but the extra resources can be found on our documentation. So a lot of possibilities with just providing things inside the curly braces. So this will introduce logic in your template as well. Awesome. Okay. Let me just quickly go through the PDF utilities as well. So instead of creating reports from templates, you can also use Apex Office Print to do or to convert documents into PDF. So if you have any documents, for example, Word or Excel, some other document except for templates, right? Or CSV document, you can just basically provide it to AOP, and AOP can convert them to PDF. For that, we provide you with the convert plugin on our downloads folder here. Apex, choose your version, and there should be a convert dynamic accent plugin. So you can use this plugin to convert, to basically provide documents and convert them to PDFs. Okay. So PDF conversion. You can also use Apex Office Print to merge documents together. Let's say you have Word document or a PDF document or an image, and that you want to merge it, right? So you can do that by just giving it like the append and prepend files options, and we basically give you the output back as a PDF. Okay, so merging, you can also provide watermark, in this case, using a PL/SQL code. And we basically put a watermark in your output document. You can also insert texts in your document, in your PDF. So you can also use this feature to watermark, or for example, put something like a signature in there, or yeah, basically watermark it or insert text here. You have the possibility to basically customize where it lands, the angle, the rotation, in which font, and you can also use this current page and total page text in there. Image insertion is something different. So instead of text, now we are putting images into our documents. AOP is also able to split a document, a PDF document. So let's say you have like a 3-page document. We give you back a zip file with all the pages in it. Instead of splitting, you can also say, okay, I want actually all the pages in one page. So this is basically a 1-page PDF. And this comes in handy when you have like a point of sale system where you don't have the notion of page numbers, for example. AOP is also able to give you out the copies. So it is handy if you are sending directly to the printer that you can say, okay, I want 3 copies. Then we basically repeat the content 3 times in a PDF. So if you want to encrypt your output PDF with password, you can do so by providing the modify password or read password to AOP, and we basically encrypt it for you. And finally, I want to talk about the signature panel. So I think I put this on our tweet as well. So you can basically specify to sign a PDF document by the given signature. So this comes in handy when you want to, for example, let your customers know that this document has not been modified, or yeah, that you are the one that has provided that document, right? So this is similar with email certificates, right? But in this case, we are basically signing a document, a PDF document. And this is how also, for example, DocuSign works. Like they provide the signature possibility, but it is possible to use AOP to do the kind of the same thing. Okay, so that was the PDF utilities. And I think I still have licensing stuff to go, but I am not sure if I have time for that. Satya?
Yes, Sunil, we have few questions in our chat box. Could you please answer the questions now?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Let me quickly see here. Okay, so let me go through the questions. So FZ has asked, like, what versions of Apex are supported, right? So we support from 5.1 till the latest version. Although not all features might be available on 5.1, there is a possibility to basically, you can install AOP in 5.1 and export all the reports. And yeah, that's a good question. So if IR loads 1,000 rows, for instance, 25 at a time, all your rows will be exported. And if you want to, for example, limit those, you can just specify a filter in your report and that filter will also get taken into account. So let me just quickly go here. If I have a filter here, so filter. So in this case, we have filters in belt and blouse. So if we were to export this, we only get the filtered, right? So you also see what filters are applied here, the applied highlights. And if we were to remove this filter, for example, let's see, we have got 49. So all these, so if you had enabled pagination in here, all of those rows would be exported. Okay, so Mohammed has asked, is it possible to highlight specific cells based on a condition in a report? I'm not sure what you mean by cells, but in Word, for example, let's see. If you specify a condition here, highlight is equals to yes. And you can say here something like highlighted. Highlight, okay. Just ignore my spelling mistakes here, please. So something like this, and you can highlight this one, and it would basically be conditional. The other way, there's also another way to do it, and that is to use our style function or style tag. So this is basically the style tag, and you have the possibility to style the data dynamically. So you can specify the font size, font color, bold, italic, underline, or highlight. So you can also use this to conditionally or dynamically style your content. I think for Abdul, I think I answered that one. So password protection, we do have that, but currently we have that for PDF, and we are working on exporting it for Microsoft Word or Office files as well, but we'll see how far we get with that one. Okay. I think here, Yegam asked, I think I already answered that. AOP will export all the rows, all the data that there is in the interactive report. Are there any data limitations? I would say for the moment, there is a limitation of, we have a JSON limitations of 250 MB on our API, but you can download a high memory version of our on-premise version and basically expand that limitation. So if you want to export 500,000 rows, for example, it's doable. We have some customers that are exporting around 1 million records, and yeah, AOP is able to handle that. And I think I also answered the digital signature. So yes, it is possible to add digital signatures in the PDF reports. Okay. So Abdul asked, can we have multiple reasons with different data sets? Yes, we can. So let me just quickly show it to you here. Multiple reports with charts. Multiple reports. All right. Okay, yeah, multiple grids. So in that case, what you would do is go to the reason section, right? So our data source was here, static ID of 1, but you can just separate them with commas, and then you basically export multiple reasons. Okay. All right, so Christoph asked that he likes to send chart through email. So, okay, let's have a look at our chart example, right? native charts, right? So when we have this chart, let's try to change the output type of this Word document to HTML and see what that gives us, right? In this case, let me quickly go back here, quick edit to this button, print column. Okay, so now our output type is Word. Let's select HTML, right? So we are able to go from Word to HTML. So now what we get back is an HTML file with the chart included, right? And you can just email this body to your customer. So you can basically create an email with the output from AOP and send it to your customer. So the answer is yes, it is possible. Okay, so can we display the report in the Apex page itself instead of downloading? Yes, that's also possible. For that, we would be looking at the inline example. Inline PDF. So print in new tab, print in inline. So you can just go ahead and see what's behind the dynamic action here. And as you can see, we just printed our PDF inline. Okay, so so we have, I think, okay. Abdul, can we do subtotals and gross totals in the report? So I think I showed the sum function that you can use, and on our new version, you also have the possibility to do sum across multiple, for example, customers. So that feature will also be available soon. So can we have option for multi-language report or translations? I think we do support right to left. Languages going from right to left, and I think this is supported out of the box. But I'm not sure, for example, if you have interactive report and we translate that report, I think that's also supported, yes. Okay, and the last question I think here is whether we can print the column grouping in interactive report in Excel template. So yeah, that's also possible here. So let's go to interactive report, group by, I think this is what it means. And let me quickly, is it this one? Okay, yeah, so this is group by. Yes, it is possible. So let's just export it to Excel. So every feature that you use in interactive report or interactive grid, so for example, pivoting, highlighting, filters, grouping, breaking, those are all available. Okay, so I think that means that we have reached the end of all the questions that there were. I hope that this session was productive and that you learned something out of it and that you will use AOP in the upcoming projects or maybe in already done projects. So let me just quickly go to the pricing and then I think we can wrap this one up. So all the pricing, you can find it on our website. So you can just sign in and it's free to use. So you've got like 30 reports per month. You can have unlimited dev reports. They do contain like a small watermark, but that's about it. And we go from $35 till $350. So depending on your reporting needs. We also have on-premise version, and it goes from 3,000, around 3,000 till like 25,000. So each license will give you with the availability to activate on 2 servers, and you can basically use it however you want. Let's say one for testing environment and one for production, that's possible. All right, so if there are no other questions, I think I can hand the session over to Satya.
Thank you, Sanal. Such a wonderful session it was. This is one of the most interesting session I have attended. Then we are so grateful for your support and time. Also, we thank you for the information and advice that you have shared. I also like to thank to the audience for participating in today's webinars. Before I leave, I would like to mention that please stay tuned to oraclass.com for more information on our upcoming webinars. Thank you all for joining this session.
Satyam, I think
Yes.
we forgot about the giveaway. So I think we are going to pick someone who has asked a question randomly, and then we'll keep in touch with you then.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, thank
go
you
ahead,
all
sorry.
Thank you all for joining this session. We will meet you in another interesting topic. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Sunil.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Tony.
You guys are welcome. So you can actually reach us out at support@apexofficeprint.com. So if you have any questions or yeah, regarding anything, just reach out to us.
Okay, sure.